nearly 70% of all organizational change initiatives end in failure. Modern businesses operate under a stark contradiction. To survive technological and market shifts, they must adapt. Yet, in the process of attempting those transitions, the majority of organizations tear themselves apart. This happens because leadership teams often treat change as a rigid operational event, a structural mandate to be deployed. This approach ignores the psychological friction generated by the workforce expected to execute it. To survive a transition of this scale, executives have to look past project management and address the specific behavioral variables that drive human action. In 1936, the psychologist Kurt Lewin attempted to unify behavioral science into a single mathematical heuristic. This equation states that behavior is a function of the person interacting with their environment. The person variable represents an individual's internal factors, their motivations, fears, and habits. The environment variable encompasses external structures, the workflows, incentives, and physical spaces around them. This framework suggests that behavior is a result of these two distinct categories of influence. If a leader wants to change how a team operates, they have to consider how to address both internal motivations and external systems. A successful transition utilizes a three-layered architecture: Lewin's metastructure for the mechanics of the change, Kotter's macro-environment framework to shift the external environment, and the ADKR micropsychology model to address the individual person. Lewin's work was influenced by Gestalt psychology, which posits that an individual's behavior is driven by the totality of competing forces existing in their present life space. Consider a clinical case study from Stat Pearls. A hospital department is implementing new shift change protocols to reduce a rising number of unwitnessed patient falls. To map this life space, Lewin uses a force field analysis. On one side, driving forces push for change, such as leadership goals and patient safety. Opposing them are restraining forces, tight time constraints, and medical staff reverting to old habits to save time. Overcoming these restraints require Lewin's first phase, unfreezing. Leadership must create enough urgency to dismantle the current comfort zone and disrupt the equilibrium of the force field. Once unfrozen, the organization enters phase 2, changing or transitioning. This is a period of inner movement where the old rules are gone, the new ones are unproven, and employees are susceptible to fear and uncertainty. Phase 3 is refreezing, the act of stabilizing the new behaviors into institutional norms. While modern markets often require continuous flexibility, the need for operational stability remains. Mapping these competing forces allows a change agent to determine if an organization is actually capable of unfreezing. While Lewin provides theoretical mechanics, organizations need a structural roadmap to manipulate the environment variable. This diagram outlines John Kotter's 8-step change model, introduced in 1996. The steps map directly onto Lewin's 3 phases. Steps 1 through 4 structure the unfreezing, 5 through 7 guide the transition, and Step 8 anchors the refreezing. Netflix serves as a case study in environmental manipulation, executing a 1999 shift to subscriptions, followed by a transition to streaming in 2007.
Applying Kotter's first step, creating urgency, Netflix used the decline of physical media and the rise of high-speed internet to unfreeze their workforce. Following steps 3 and 4, leadership formed and communicated a clear strategic vision for streaming video, aligning the company toward a web-based delivery model. For Step 5, enabling action by removing barriers, Netflix removed the physical limitations of DVD distribution. By altering their infrastructure, they forced an environmental shift that made streaming the primary focus. There is a limitation to this model. It is top-down and focuses entirely on the external structure. Re-engineering the environment is only half the process. It depends on how the individual person psychologically adapts to the new reality. Organizational change is the aggregate sum of individual transitions occurring simultaneously across a workforce. This chart visualizes Rogers' diffusion of innovation theory, illustrating how new ideas spread across 5 groups: innovators, early adopters, majorities, and laggards. The outer edges operate on opposing incentives. Innovators seek novel technology, while laggards resist disruption. The critical target for a change agent is the early adopters. Because they are highly respected by their peers, They act as the persuaders necessary to tip the broader majority toward acceptance. Categorizing staff this way allows leadership to focus their energy on the groups that can most effectively influence the early majority. To change the behavior of an early adopter, management must guide them through an internal psychological sequence known as the ADKAR model. The first two requirements deal with motivation, generating awareness of the need for change, and sparking personal desire to participate. Next is execution. Leadership provides the knowledge to navigate the new system and time to develop the physical or mental ability to implement new skills. The final phase is reinforcement. Management must monitor and reward workflows to ensure the individual doesn't regress. ADKAR operates on a sequential rule. Leadership cannot successfully provide ability or knowledge to an employee who lacks the awareness and desire to change. Used together, ADKAR ensures the person evolves at the same pace that Kotter's steps shift the environment. Revisiting Kurt Lewin's framework reveals a specific concept regarding how behavior is determined, the principle of contemporaneity. This principle argues that past events and historical inertia do not directly dictate present behavior. The dynamic life space and the forces acting upon it exist strictly in the present moment. Because this life space only exists in the present, an organization can execute a strategic shift if the current forces are correctly aligned, regardless of its previous history or rigid traditions. This diagram illustrates how these frameworks synthesize into an engine for transformation. Lewin defines the governing mechanics and transition phases. Kotter provides the top-down blueprints to re-engineer the external environment. And Rogers, combined with ADHAR, provides the tools to reprogram the individual actors inside it. Successful change management does not rely on forcing new behaviors. It relies on re-architecting the environment and addressing individual psychology so that the desired behavior is supported by both the external system and internal motivations.